let's give it a shot.
Well, last Saturday in October, the greatest month of the year is almost over. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know, but it is a busy month sports-wise.
it is.
Yeah.
Where you want to start?
Well, we just don't want to. We're down here, beautiful downtown Rainier, and the bar is packed and really enthusiastic for the game, or it will be. And we got Jamie behind the bar. Hey, it's a nice Saturday, but we could start just about anywhere. I also have a guest, Mark Lundgren, who this is on his 30th year of being on the sidelines on the poles.
Wow.
And so he has seen more Bronco football games than anybody I know.
He will have to ask him if he's worried about losing his job.
Well, we will. We'll have
At
to
some
bring
point,
that up.
At some point, he is going to lose his job because they're going to do everything electronically.
Well, I asked him. I says because he's on the visitor's side, and I says, "Are you on the marker, the goal marker?" And he says, "I am, but they've been trying to break in a new guy." He says, "I got to get a younger guy in there." So
Yeah.
so they have. But he is in charge, and he is the main man of the chain gang. And but we're going to have him on in a few minutes and talk about today's big game. But first, I want to talk about the NBA. I was watching NBA the other night, and the game was on. The games were good, and everybody was chuckling and
excited
hollering.
about the new season
And next-
TNT crew moving over to ESPN.
The whole deal. And the next morning, it all kind of collapsed right down to the ground. And, I think NBA is, we very well could be looking at a scandal here that's equivalent to the Black Sox scandal. This is, Tim, I've said this over and over again, when you have this amount of money, this amount of gambling going on, what could possibly go wrong? Well, guess what? It can go wrong, and it's just a mess.
I think we talked about this on the show before. Obviously, we've been doing it for a long time, but when we watched the NBA back in the 80s, my brothers and uncles and whoever, we always said the NBA is rigged. Okay? We always said it because who ended up playing in the finals all the time? Either the Celtics and or the Lakers. It was every year that they were in there. Now they had great players, but other teams had great players. But it always seemed like those big market teams in Boston and LA, not maybe so much the New York Knicks, got in there. And then, of course, the Bulls had their run. Of course, they had Mike and everything else. But this isn't so much rigging it so that the best team makes it to the championship, and maybe it is to a point. If this LeBron thing that I was reading about last night or this morning, with him being involved possibly in rigged games or referees being involved, it could get bigger, obviously. But this is tied to big stake poker games and people having to pay off their debts and doing things in games so they can pay off their debts. It's all concerning, don't get me wrong, but when the mafia is involved in telling guys, you are going to lose this game or you are going to do something because we want our money.
Ooh.
That is
a whole new level. And that's what happened back in 1919 with the Black Sox scandal. And they're still talking about that. They're making movies about it. They're doing documentaries about it. They really haven't given up. Shoeless Joe Jackson is alive and well. And I'm just saying is when you get a Hall of Famer that's involved and you know that they have 3 NBA former players or coaches and all the rest of that are connected with this, there are going to be others. And well,
this investigation's been going on for 4 years.
It has, yeah. No, this has been going on for a long time. It's really tragic. It's super tragic.
3, don't quote me on this, Eastern Central something Michigan, 3 basketball players from this school basically said they would not cooperate with investigators that last season they were involved in point shaving or betting on games or whatever. It takes the whatever out of the game because we watch the games because we think that the outcomes are not set. Look what happened this week in the SEC with the referee being suspended for the rest of the season for the, what did they say, 10 or 11 bad or missed calls that he made in the game, the Georgia-Auburn football game, and you're kind of going, okay, after what happened this week, what is he involved in? What kind of stakes, what kind of money does he have involved over here, or what kind of pressure is he getting from somebody to make certain calls in games? And, you know, the Viking fans, we've always been skeptical. Reichert definitely hits the wire in Ireland, and then he hits the wire the other night, and the NFL basically tells Al Michaels during the game that he has to go and apologize for saying that ball in Ireland hit the wire, and say that no, I was wrong, that it didn't hit the wire. And then he hits the wire in that game the other night again. You can see it on the video. The ball changes directions and knocks it up. I'm just like, and the NFL's denying that one as well. No, it didn't touch it. And you watch it and you can see that it changes directions again. I don't know.
It comes down to Wednesday night. I watched San Antonio Spurs
in Dallas, and they have and San Antonio has this guy. His name is, well, because they can't say the whole name, Wimby, and Wimby is 7'5", 7'5", and he handles the ball like a point guard. He can shoot from all over the court. Defensively, he is just incredible. I'm sitting there watching this guy thinking, my Lord, this is going to be an incredible basketball season. And then somebody pops the whole balloon. And, you see the possibilities. And these are truly some of the finest athletes on the planet. And they get caught up in this. And we haven't even got to NIL yet. And it's, the amount of money that's being involved in this is astronomical, especially for sports fans like you and I. They're just interested in the sports. Anyway, this whole thing has come to a sudden stop, and I noticed that everybody is trying to, except for you and I and Stephen S., are not even bringing it up right now. And and I think, the scary part is you put your faith in that. Like I said, what you're seeing is real.
Yeah.
But it's not. You talk about NIL. I saw a clip from the Clemson baseball coach the other day, and he was getting railed, chastised, whatever, for not signing 2 players, and he basically said they wanted more money than any player on my team was already getting from NIL. He said, we don't do that. You haven't played a pitch of Clemson baseball.
Yeah.
You are gonna come in here and earn that. I'm not just gonna give it to you because you think you're a good player or you might be a good player. You have to come in and earn that money. So we're gonna start you off at this amount, and you can work up to that amount, but we're not gonna put you there. So the money out there is insane.
It is. Anyway, so we have as a guest on the telephone Mark Lundgren, who is the chief line chain gang at the University of Minnesota. Been doing it for 30 years, and he's a former player at UMD, and he coached at Golden Valley. He's been around football his entire life, and he's another one of those football addicts that I hear so much about. But we're going to give him a call right now, and we're going to talk about, because today's the big game. Today is Iowa, so let's see what we can get for Mark. Hey, how you doing? Can you raise your volume up a little bit? I'm not sure that I am doing that either, but
I'm sure.
How are we there?
Hey, now we're cooking. Right. Good morning, Mark.
It is. It's raining like crazy down here.
What?
Oh, we got a sunshine. It's 45 degrees, and I'm sitting here with my friend Ringer, and we're doing our show, and we got. I mean, are you surprised? It's 20 to 10, and I'm sitting in a bar. Apparently not.
My only question was, are you still there from last night?
Oh.
Oh, that is raw. Hey, listen, we want to talk a little college football this morning, and we're going to start right off because at noon today, UMD and Mary's play. Have you caught any of UMD games this year?
I haven't. I feel bad. I can't. It seems like every year I look, and of course, working the Gopher games, it's almost the same time as UMD's playing. So it's tough for me to get there.
Yeah, it's kind of a Big Kyle is really a great quarterback, and Walsjesper, and he's really just a lug out there. He's fun to watch. They dropped the ball against Northern a couple of weeks ago, but they're coming back with Marys. They've only lost one. But it's a very good team. I tell you what, it's the kind of football that we played when we were at UMD, and there is nothing fancy going on there. But they play at noon today, so
Really?
Yeah. So I'll be channel flipping. It's on Channel 9 up here in northern Minnesota. You guys don't get it down there, but we've got. I'm looking forward to a good game, and Walsjesper is really, he's fun to watch, and he's in about his 6th year now, so he's not on Social Security yet, so he's doing all right. But
Somebody said it looks like a fullback playing quarterback.
it is, yeah. He's 6'3". He's 230 pounds. He's just a mule, and and he can play wide receiver. He can play slot back. He can play. He goes on the Wildcat. He can do all kinds of stuff on there. But he's really a lot of fun to watch. I just have a feeling, Mark, that he's like one of the Bulldog characters of old. So
Okay.
we'll take that. And as long as we're
that, yeah.
and as long as we're at UMD, they put the whoop on those rodents down at the University of Minnesota last night in hockey.
Oh, it wasn't even a close game. I watched most of that.
Yeah, it wasn't even a close game. I agree. So they've got one line over there, the Sugar Bay and Plant and who's the other? And Plant.
Plant.
Yeah, these
the brothers.
They are the Plant and Plant. What a crew! So they're really a lot of fun to watch. So UMD is alive and strong.
What generation of Plant is that? I mean, it seems like somebody's been playing there for 25 years.
Yeah, so Derek is their dad, and he played for the Bulldogs, 25 years ago or so. So, his two boys.
It was interesting. I go to breakfast every Saturday morning for almost 40 plus years now with a bunch of guys, and one of the guys is from Cloquet. Name is Ed McGilvery, and he had a picture of I think it was Bruce Plant that was his bantam coach or something like that.
Whoa!
And ran into him a while back and took one of these pictures, from 30 years later. It was pretty interesting. So
Yeah, it is definitely generational, no doubt about that.
that's good.
Yes.
That's good. I like that.
Well, before we get to the Gophers here a little bit, I've got a list of college games, some pretty interesting college games, and we're going to start right off at 11 o'clock with UCLA and Indiana. How good is Indiana?
They're awfully good. I mean, I think in that game, there's no doubt they're going to win that game. I don't know that they'll cover. I don't remember what the spread was. But Indiana that guy has just done an amazing thing. You can't get a ticket down there. And, I can remember when the Gopher schedules would come out and you'd say, Indiana, good. We're playing them.
Yeah.
But things have really changed. He's really turned that around. They just gave him a brand new contract. And he's been a winner, evidently, wherever he's gone. So,
well, he came from Appalachian State, brought his whole team with him, and they, Appalachian State and Madison and all the rest of those schools, they're pretty good football players down there, and so I'm not surprised, but he has done this in a very short period of time. Just goes to show you.
Around.
Yeah.
And just think of what's happened in that place now where he's getting, I don't know what that stadium holds. It's got to be over 50 or around 50. And the fact you can't get a ticket in, 2 or 3 years ago before they had him, they'd have 10,000 people at a game.
Yeah. No.
So revenue-wise, it's amazing. It's just like, I got to know Pat Fitzgerald a little bit, Northwestern coach, who's just a wonderful guy. And when they went to the Rose Bowl back a long time ago, the alumni, they said the money that came from the alumni was like quadrupled. just from being in the Rose Bowl. So football is definitely the engine. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but it's the engine that drives the whole train in terms of money at those college schools. So
Well, and on College Game Day this morning, they took a significant time to talk about the money that's going in, particularly in NIL money, and how much influence these donators have in terms of choosing coaches, recruiting kids. And then just the money alone, and it's I know that they're disconnected, but the scandal that's going on in the NBA and the NIL money, although they're a distant part, they are one and the same, and that is that there's an awful lot of money in sports.
yeah, the guy that I didn't really care for was Saban, and I guess it was just because he won so much at Alabama.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the last few times I've watched and listened to him, I really like what he's saying. And he's coming out and saying, this bill is ruining college football, literally.
Yeah, that's what he said this morning, almost verbatim.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I just got home about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Good for him, because I think he's speaking his mind, and something needs to change there. But that goes way back. Off football a minute. I blame the NCAA. They were making so much money on that Final Four and the rest of that stuff. And, they didn't share it with any of the schools. I think go back 10 years, and if they'd have started sharing some of that money somehow, of course, I guess it only takes one attorney to start the mess, but I think it would have been a little different. Maybe not, but...
No, it's just, and I mean, like I say, I have no problem with these players making money, but how it's dispersed and who's getting what where, and I got a nice, good-looking freshman in Ohio State comes over and buys him a new pickup, and he all of a sudden is transferred to become a Buckeye of all things. And it's a little disheartening. It really is.
Well, the Gopher offensive line is as poor as I've seen it in years. And then you look, and they've got two offensive tackles starting, one at Northwestern and one at Ohio State. And you kind of wonder, had those guys not been enticed to leave, what that would look like. But it's all hindsight. But I don't know. I'm such a college guy. I mean, I tape 3 or 4. We leave, of course, 3 hours before the game to get there in time and get dressed and all that. But I tape probably 3 or 4 college games, and I watch them on Sunday instead of the pros.
Yeah, I'm right with you there, Marco. Right with you. Me too. So as long as we're talking about that, we got Minnesota and Iowa today. I'm sitting here getting the spirit of Nagurski with my jersey on. And, there is nothing more fun than beating Iowa, especially in Iowa. Just the problem of it is we don't do it too often.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a tough road for them today, I think. I think defensively we can play pretty well. They've got a couple. This Smith is basically kind of a man-child. And the other kid, Eastern, who's from Shakopee, and George, you're familiar with Shakopee, right across the river from us, are pretty good. I think this Nestor kid will get beat at least once today.
Okay.
We just don't have a couple of things very evident watching compared to past Gopher teams. Their offensive line isn't what it needs to be. And it played much better against Nebraska. They moved some guys around, and it kind of amazes me that after, what do we got, 5-6 games and 4 weeks of practice, that they haven't figured out who's playing where. But I don't know. And I think, our D-backs, they're not bad. But our wide receivers, even though Lindsey throws the ball, and he throws it really well, we just don't seem to have a burner. And we don't seem to be able to get separation. He's got to be pretty much spot on throwing that ball.
Well,
So
go ahead.
I'm a little concerned. I don't know how much we'll score, because I've always thought, that Phil Parker, who's their defensive coordinator, he does a heck of a job. And they've got some hogs up front that give us trouble constantly. But I just don't know. Lindsey's going to have to be spot on, without a doubt, and this offensive line is going to have to be able to run the ball, or we're going to be in big trouble down there.
Well, they have one of the premier running backs in the Big Ten, and they haven't been able to spring him loose, although he went over 100 last week with Nebraska, and he was able to move the ball a little bit, but basically they have to be able to rush the ball in order to succeed. Am I wrong there?
No, you're right. You're spot on there, George. They have to be able to run the ball. Otherwise, and like I say, this Lindsey they've been high on him for 2 years now, and he's finally coming to fruition for a redshirt freshman. But I don't know. I just, he's got to have time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And, it was like a couple of years ago, I get my buddies that all thought Cousins was just terrible. What a piece of junk he was. And I asked him, I said, well, have you ever tried throwing a football when you're on your back? Because that's about the way he was that time. So, I don't know. I don't like playing in Iowa. They don't lose many games at home. And I kind of think the first score will be huge. Not to mention that if somebody gets 2 scores in a row. And if we get behind down there and they start to grind the ball on us and run the ball, this Gronkowski, I don't know that he's thrown a touchdown pass yet in Big Ten competition. I think he's got 2 or 3 running touchdowns, but I don't think he's scored or has thrown a pass yet. So time will tell. We got Pirich hiding back there, and that's always a kind of a comfort. And the other D-backs are pretty good. I just think, when Nestor came from Iowa, there's a reason that Iowa let him go. I don't know what it is. Maybe there was some personal stuff there too, but he just seems to be a little slow for a cornerback in the Big Ten. So maybe by saying that now he'll pick one off and score. I don't know.
Let's hope so.
And there's one other team. I know that this is one of your favorite coaches, but Illinois is at Washington.
Oh, yeah. I think Washington will win that. I don't think they've lost. They don't lose at home.
Yeah, they don't.
But, there's another one, that goofy Bielema. You can't get behind Illinois because he will just grind the ball and rush 4 downs if he has to. And if it's 3 or 4 yards at a pop, that'll be an interesting game.
Yeah,
very interesting.
And Ringer's he's just folding over here because he's not a fan either. And it's always nice to beat these guys. But, I have to say this about him. He's a very fine coach. And
he's a very good coach.
Yeah. And so you can't take that away from him. I don't think I'd want to live next door to him, but he is a fine coach. So I'm looking forward to that game a little bit. And then tonight, Mark, at 7:00, I have as my highlight game NDSU and South Dakota State.
Yeah. Now, is the kid at Iowa, did he come from South Dakota State or South Dakota?
South Dakota State.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of success recently.
Oh, they have, and it should be a dandy. And NDSU, boy, they are just grinders. And so I'm looking forward to that game. It's one of those things when you have 2 teams and they're not spread out all over the field. I kind of understand what's going on. Other than that,
it's a little easier to watch.
It's a lot easier to watch.
Yeah, one of the guys on our chain crew, Kenny Bauman, is kind of from up in that area and watches a lot of NDSU ball. And he's very complimentary. He was the head coach for years. He actually lives in Waban now and is retired, but won himself a few state titles up there. So he's fun to listen to and to watch, so that's good.
Okay, so anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go, George. Let me hear what you got to say there.
No, I'm just saying is that this afternoon at 2:30, everything is just going to bust loose, and I think Iowa's an 8.5 point favorite. But I would take that bet. In fact, I have, because I think it can be possible that we'll get another fair catch call and win a football game. I love it because it drives the Iowa people just nuts. They've never forgotten that, Mark.
No, they never will. They got long memories.
They got long memories. Yes, they do.
But I don't know. I don't think we're going to get blown out there. I don't know. Like the Nebraska game, I hate to say this, being a Gopher fan, I didn't think we were going to win that game going into it.
Yeah, and they blew them out.
And the vibe at the stadium and on the field and on the Gopher bench was entirely different than it had been prior to that. I don't know what it was or what he said or what they did, but the kids were just almost over the top into the game.
Well, I always said about Coach Fleck, I'm not sure I buy all his stories, but the kids seem to, and that's the only important thing.
And that was the thing. I had a sister-in-law, and I don't like all this row the boat and all this and all that. I said, I don't care what you like. A 19-year-old kid comes in here and likes it. That's what I care about.
That's what I care about. That's exactly right. A couple of years ago, I was sitting next to a former Michigan player at the Big Ten Championship in Indianapolis, and he says, "What do you think about Coach Fleck?" I says, I'm not sure about all this row the boat things, but the kids seem to dig it, and that's the only thing that I really worried about. But he's pulling people from all over the country. I mean, he's got Lindsay, and he got Big Max, and he's pulling these guys in, and even Big Max is doing pretty well with the Vikes. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with Fleck. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I don't know who we're going to get that's any better.
Yeah, that's the deal. Who are you going to replace him with?
That's sad to say, but I think it's kind of the truth. But the kids love him. I'll tell you that. They just love the guy. It's just amazing. So that's half the battle, I think. You haven't lost the locker room.
I get some reports that SEC is looking to recruit him and bring him over to the Super League, as they call it. So there's going to be a lot of people recruiting him, but boy, he does have a style. So I'm in his corner all the way. I'm with you, Mark.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere, quite frankly.
Good.
Unless he has an opportunity that he really, really thinks and that Heather's okay with, I think wherever he went, he'd have to temper back a little bit on the row the boat, that kind of stuff. And he has a little bit. I haven't heard him use the word elite in a long time.
No,
and,
but he's...
when he came here, it was elite. So time will tell. But, some of those big schools aren't going to buy into any of that. I mean, you're not going to go to Alabama with a row the boat type of deal.
No. That's not going to... You can bring an alligator maybe, but... Yeah, no, it's a tough deal for him, but he's got a very fine paddle collection. One of the finest I've ever seen, if not the. So, I know during the game he gets pretty enthusiastic, but he still seems to be having a little bit of fun. So, and that's kind of important. It's a tough job to have.
Well, it's interesting down here. A lot of people will say, "Oh, geez, he's running," and what you see on the field is exactly the way he is in quote-unquote real life. I mean, he is over the top constantly. And, that's just the way he's built. Some are and some aren't. And that's the way he is. So I respect that from him. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right.
I don't think he's real popular with some of the Big Ten coaches, but that doesn't matter.
No, at all. Those Big Ten coaches don't like each other, period. So
yeah,
that's just kind of the way that goes.
I know when Iowa was here the last time, and Iowa was ahead, I don't know, maybe 2 scores, George, or 2.5. And we had the ball on about the 8-yard line. And the Gophers kept calling a timeout to score. There's no doubt about it. And I was standing next to French with the down box. And he said, "Excuse me, what is this guy, an effing Marine?" And he what's with the never give up, don't quit. Just let the game go and give us the pig, and I want to get out of town. So it's kind of the attitude that he had there.
We were there that day and damn near froze to death. It was it was incredible.
I'm glad they're not playing here today. It's supposed to clear up, but there's nothing worse. We're selfish, but nothing worse than trying to work a game in a cold rain. Snow is fine, cold is fine, but you get wet. That's just a pain in the rear, I'll tell you.
Well,
And another thing we were talking about this morning, which is kind of interesting. I never cared for, still don't care for Harbaugh. And it's kind of up in the air with this McCarthy kid, whether he's hurt that bad or whether they don't think he's as good as they thought or whatever. But when the Michigan came the last time to the U, when McCarthy was a quarterback, he was the best quarterback I'd seen in at least 20 years playing in the Big Ten there. And he came to the sideline twice, and it was still a reasonable game early. And Harbaugh called a timeout, and it was like, 3rd and 8 or something on the goal for 12. And he said, we're going to run this. And McCarthy looked at him and said, that won't work, coach. And he said, what? And he said, run this. And he gave the coach a play. They ran it and scored. So I think he's a smart kid. Now, whether he's got talent enough to play in the NFL, not to change the subject, but we'll see what happens.
Well, as long as you brought up the subject, I watched the game the other day. It was pretty much an embarrassment. They got whacked. And and so whether or not he's ready to play, he's going to be playing the next game, no doubt about it.
Well, they've got to. And they're going to have no choice when you commit that early on a draft pick and that kind of money. He's going to play one way or the other. So, but I don't know. I think Gophers have a couple guys that could maybe play on Sunday. I think this Smith maybe could develop into that. Whether Lindsey ever could or not, I don't know. He's a big kid. He's 6'5". And, recruiting-wise, that's an amazing story. How Fleck got him out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Is just amazing. I mean, they're big Arkansas boosters. His dad had played there. His mother had played volleyball, I believe, there. His sister's playing volleyball there. I mean, he lives 12 miles from campus, and he's in Minnesota. So, go figure.
Whatever it takes. Listen, I got one more question to ask before I let you go. But Chanhassen and Chaska, how'd they do this weekend?
I think they play today.
They play today, okay.
I believe the two Mankato's, East and West, come up here to play.
All right.
So that'll be interesting. Chanhassen has a real good football team.
Yeah.
Chaska's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they're one of these deals where if you're gonna get scheduled by somebody, you might go, oh, I really don't want to play them. But Chanhassen's had some exceptional athletes run through there, and it wasn't that many years ago that the district decided to split and go to two high schools. Otherwise, they'd have one high school like Eden Prairie and Wayzata and Shakopee, and that would be some phenomenal athletes there.
Yeah, tough to make that football team. That would be a dandy.
Oh, geez, yeah. And I don't know. I had gone over to Wayzata to watch a game about 2 years ago, and I hadn't been there in years. Man, it's like a UMD campus. It is huge. Well, I don't know. They got to be one of the top 5 enrollment ones. I've got a real good buddy, not to go too long here, who played for me at Golden Valley, who was on my chain crew, one of my best friends, who was the girls basketball coach for years at Hopkins and won some state championships. Went to Minnetonka and won a state championship. And they had, Minnetonka played, I don't know if it was Maple Grove it was Eden Prairie. They had 10,000 people at that game.
Wow.
And they had a flyover. I'm thinking, what is going on here? But the point being, Minnetonka, I think their enrollment is well into the 60-65% that live out of the district.
Oh, boy.
And there's a lot of that going on here now. The ones that are really profiting, quote unquote, from that are the private schools.
Yeah.
Some of the public schools are in trouble in terms of you got to be careful, your population, etc. And other parents are saying, I'm getting out of here. So
Well,
We'll
I
see
do
what
know
happens.
that Chanhassen and Chaska played a game a couple of weeks ago, and they had 5,000 people at that one too. I mean, it is a popular sport, and I know that that private public school thing is happening in football, it's happening in basketball, and it's really happening in hockey. And so,
I bet. Yeah.
you know, it's hard to say where it's going to go. Listen, Mark, we're going to cut you loose here, and we didn't want to take your whole time, but you're so interesting and have so much to say. So, you know, just keep that
George,
spirit in hand.
Do you mind telling my wife that last comment?
Yes, we've been trying to tell her that since the 60s, so it doesn't matter anymore. And, you know, I always said about our guys, you know, there weren't many of us that got divorced. We stayed with our wives, and we realized a good thing when we had it. And I know Big Frank would say that, and Greg would certainly say that, and Daly. I mean, without those wives, hey, we'd be nothing. So
That's very true. Very true.
we got to go with that.
Now listen, if you get down here, if you know you're going to get down here, give me a little advance notice
I will.
for a Gopher game and see what's going on.
I will do
All right.
that. Okay, I will talk to you. I'll talk to you soon, Mark. Thanks so much.
Yep, thanks.
Always a pleasure, George. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
See you, Ringer.
See ya. Well, there you go.
There we go. Mark Lundgren, great guy and very knowledgeable. I worked for his dad one time, and his dad was really an amazing guy, Al Lundgren. And we were driving around. I was working for a technical school, and he looked at me very serious in the face one time, and I thought, oh, here's Mr. Lundgren going to give me a piece of philosophy. And he looked at me and he says, "Do you like strawberry pie?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." He says, "I really like strawberry pie." And we pull into a Perkins or a pie shop or whatever and had strawberry pie. Al Lundgren was really, really a fine man. And Ray Christensen was one of his good friends.
Oh.
And so they've been around for a long time. So anyway, yeah, it's good to hear from Mark and get his points of view, especially on the Gophers. Now, the Vikings, they're not a very good team. And in fact,
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure, and I'm kind of surprised at it. Number one, their offensive line's been decimated. And, you know, and we say this all the time. We said it, UMD, the U of M, anybody that wants to play this game should be able to run the ball a little bit. And the Vikings just weren't able to get any oomph on there, but that was, you know, I think the number one thing is the Vikings have not developed themselves an identity. They're not sure what kind of. They've got two of the finest receivers in the league, and you got a quarterback, you know,
Who doesn't seem to be able to get the ball to them on a consistent basis?
on a consistent basis.
He likes Addison. I mean, Wentz really likes Addison, and well, I'm going to say it this way: Jefferson's probably double covered, so who's open? Addison, right?
Addison. No, every time you see Jefferson on the field, you see two guys over there because
Rare
one,
that he's getting single covered.
because nobody's going to cover him singly, and you know, so we'll see what happens. But like Mark described, J.J. McCarthy, maybe he does have the skills to pull this out. And
I heard that. I didn't watch it down. I didn't listen to a play on the radio.
Yeah.
I followed along on my phone a little bit. We were at a Hunter's banquet on Thursday night, but I saw some of the stuff on X and Facebook and whatever else, and they were talking about the fact that the Vikings organization should be sued for quarterback malpractice for sending Wentz back out there when they knew that he was hurt, injured, in pain, unable to do the job. And in my gut or my whatever tells me that Wentz was telling them, "No, I can go," because he probably didn't want to see Max Brosmer have to go out there and get absolutely slaughtered behind a makeshift offensive line. I think, you know, obviously people are disappointed or upset that the Vikings are 3-4. They've lost more games this year than they lost in the regular season last year in 17 games. But having said that, you can't have an offensive line like that. You were big on Ivan Pace last year and the year before. He had 0 snaps on Sunday and played barely. What I was told or I read that he barely played on Thursday. So that tells you that Brian Flores has given up on him. And then, you bring Cashman off of 4 weeks. Somebody said that Harrison Smith has lost a step. Well, I can believe he's lost a step, but you got to coach on the field out there. They're milking everything they can out of him. We knew the Eagles are good. Let's understand that when they lost to the Eagles on Sunday. Some tough calls by the officiating crews doesn't help our angst about things and what we talked about at the start of the show. Playing the Chargers, we know the Chargers are one of the best teams in the NFL. So the fact that we lost as bad as we did is bad, but the fact that we lost to the Chargers at their house, I don't think there's any whatever. So people are calling that Kevin O'Connell should be fired, that he's not doing his job, and I'm like. And then, of course, the other thing is they're asking, why didn't we sign Sam Darnold? And a guy put on there, just stop it. Nobody, when we let Darnold go at the end of last season, when he wanted $100 million or got $100 million, nobody said, well, geez, we screwed up there. Not in April or whenever that happened. Nobody said it then. They're saying it now because Darnold went out to Seattle, having a great season. But that's not to say that he'd have been having a great season with the Vikings and their offensive line right now. I'm sorry. Everybody says every team has injuries. It's very true. Every team has injuries. But when your offensive line gets just absolutely you got a guy 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 games ago that played center, had never played center before. Never played before. He's going to go out there and play it in the NFL. It's a tough thing, and I know I can sugarcoat with the best of them. I'm disappointed. I want to see the Vikings play better. I don't believe that I'm really saying this out loud, but at 3-4, there's still 10 games left.
There's a lot of football left.
There's a lot of football left.
Yeah.
But J.J. McCarthy, if he is healthy enough to go, you may have to sacrifice this season at this point now, going into the 8th game, and say, look, okay, we're going to whatever happens over this last 10 games. God forbid he doesn't, if he doesn't get hurt, or Brosmer, I don't care. But I think they've got to start building towards that future. They got to find out what they've got in J.J. McCarthy, whether they need to let loose. We think about Justin Fields, what he went through in Chicago, and what he's going through now the last 2 seasons with the Steelers and the Jets and whoever else he's played for that you can't keep track of. And you talk about Justin Fields. His owner came out the other day and said he's not an NFL quarterback. Holy crap! Yeah. The owner says that about the quarterback that he has on the team. Wow!
And there was a lot of stars and bells whistling when they hired him, when they first got him. And it's the same way with Donaldson. I mean, he had a tough go until he got to the Vikings, started playing a little bit better, and now he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And like you said, nobody complained when the Vikings let him go. They just, this was what they were going to do, and this is the future that we're going to have, and they're putting an awful lot on J.J. McCarthy, but
or I said, or is it going to be Max Brosmer?
Or is it going to be Max Brosmer?
I can't believe I told you this summer Max Brosmer will be the practice squad quarterback for the Vikings. He's a moment away from possibly being the starting quarterback for this team. God forbid the other guys get hurt or whatever. It's.
Oh, and actually, when I watched him perform in all the preseason games, I thought he performed as well as to be expected. And and he's good size. He's got a good arm. He's got a head for the game. Whether or not he's fast enough or quick enough, I don't know. But
Tom Brady wasn't very fast.
Tom Brady wasn't very fast.
Best ever.
No, yeah.
Joe Montana wasn't very fast. He was. Now, Frank Tarkenton, that son of a gun, could scramble.
He was quick.
Dan Marino couldn't run a lick. He probably could never run anyway.
Yeah.
So, he could throw the heck out of a football, but he couldn't run.
Last night,
Well, we got a couple other football things we got to
Okay.
finish before we
Okay.
go to last night and how
Okay.
good that felt. You got Bears and Ravens.
Yes.
Tomorrow, I don't know. Were we going to find out what the Ravens are or aren't, and where are we going to find out what the Bears are or aren't? The Bills go to the Panthers. The Panthers are playing way better football. Interesting.
And the Bills aren't playing that well.
And the Bills, yeah, a little chink in the army, maybe.
Yeah.
Packers go to Steelers.
That is going to be a dandy.
Rodgers playing against his former team. They're
Yeah.
trying to play it down. We know it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Commanders go to the Chiefs on Monday night. No Jaden Daniels. Very interesting. We'll see how that all plays out. SEC's got 3 games with 2 teams in the top 25 playing in those games. Number 8 Ole Miss at number 13 Oklahoma. Number 15 Missouri at number 10 Vandy. You want to see a quarterback that can run? Watch Vanderbilt. I got a chance to watch a little bit of him last week.
Diego.
Holy bajoli's Rocky. That's
No,
going to be interesting. And Texas A&M goes down today. LSU wins at home. You don't go into Baton Rouge. Texas A&M, number 3 in the nation, loses to number 20 LSU. That's my prediction. And Michigan at Michigan State, you didn't bring that one up.
No, and I thought about it, but
Sparty
I
got a
have it written
chance?
down here. Yeah, they do. And it's just,
I think Sparty's got a decent. It'll be fun to watch.
it
See what
will be
happens.
fun to watch. And Michigan hasn't really pulled it together yet. They're not going to pull it together till the Ohio State game. They'll go in and they'll win that one, and everybody will freak.
Have you heard about Monty Quinn?
No.
Monty Quinn he's a running back for Curry College. I have no idea where Curry College is at. Did you hear what he did last week? Here's his stat line. Like I said, I don't know Curry College, NAIA Division III. I don't really care what league he's playing in. He had 20 carries, okay,
Yeah.
for 522 yards.
Whoa.
That's 26 yards per carry, and he only scored 7 touchdowns. Only.
He had a good day.
He had 522 yards rushing. Wow.
Yeah.
Your team would get 500 yards rushing. You would say, wow, but one guy, 522 yards. Anyway, okay, let's get off of football. We've been on it for, nearly 50 minutes. Wait, talk about last night, because I went to a hockey game last night over in Fort Francis.
Oh, are they excited over there?
And I'm serious, like 10 minutes before the game, there was like 40 people in the arena proper. And I'm like, I went up to the guy who does kind of in control of the crowds and whatever else. I said, hey, where the heck is everybody? He goes, Toronto's playing in the World Series. And I'm like, holy crap, the World Series starts tonight. I was so focused in on getting to the hockey game and being there and doing what I needed to do. But they had a crowd of 355 there last night, which is above average. Lots and lots of Americans there last night. I was shocked how many people from the States were there last night watching a fabulous hockey. Oh my Lord. It was a 2-1 hockey game. Top team in the league, Fort Francis, tied for 3rd. And their top line for the Lakers, I think it's $15 Canadian to get in to watch for an adult. They're worth the price of admission. I'm
right.
serious. I can't. This Gwyn Bender Nestler line. Wow. 2 kids that can skate, handle the puck, absolutely nuts. If it wasn't Saturday Night Football and this North Dakota South Dakota State game and everything else on, the Bulldogs playing the Gophers in men's hockey, I probably would go back over and pay to get in and watch what the heck is going on, because it's really good. All right, talk about the World Series.
Okay, anyway, every time Otani got up, the crowd started screaming, "We don't need you." And I started looking back and I thought, Toronto was a team that was in the running to pick him up.
Gotcha. I was
And
wondering
so-
what was going on.
Yeah,
there.
so they and of course he went to Los Angeles for a number of reasons, but every time he got up, and then he did pick up a homer a little bit later
Did he
after
get-
that.
okay.
Yeah,
I saw that he had one. He was 1 for 4 with a couple of RBIs.
Yeah, and that's where they picked it up. But that being said, it was 11-4, and the Blue Jays. And I gotta say, Sue says, "Are you going to say you're for the Blue Jays?" I am. I think that
I asked Uncle Paul last night. I says, "Is it wrong for me to cheer for the Blue Jays?" And he's like, "I can't cheer for the Dodgers." And somebody might say, "Well, you can't cheer for a Canadian team." Well, sure I can.
They're all
I'm
Americans
cheering for
anyway,
Louis-
they're better.
I'm cheering for Louis Varland.
yeah.
What the heck? Why
Yeah.
not?
No, and that Clement, I mean, he's hitting 450 or thereabouts in this play. He was hitting them where they ain't. and
Yeah.
just smacking that ball. And I thought, here's a guy. He's no physical specimen. He's kind of scrawny and quick, very quick. But he's got a beautiful bat. And when he come up, he is confident that he's going to hit the tater. And and I look at that pitcher, and the pitchers are throwing everywhere around him that they possibly can. He picked it up. He picked up one hit. It wasn't 6 inches off the ground when he went down, snared it up, knocked it in for a hit. Another run came in. But, right now, those good people in Toronto are having themselves a ball, and they're going to have another tonight. I don't know if they can beat the Dodgers, but that stadium is just electric.
9 runs, 6th inning last night. Here's the thing, and I watched the end of the game, but here is the stat that I think sticks out. Okay? And they said, and I believe that the last 4 times that one of the teams in the World Series had to go all 7 games to win, and the other team swept in 4 games. In the World Series, this team that swept in 4 games, that had that extra week off, has only won 2 of 16 games.
Yeah.
2 of 18 games, excuse me. There's 2 and 16. And I'm like, well, this thing's over. We might as well go. No sense watching the World Series anymore. Toronto's going to win this in 5 games. And if they hit the ball like they did last night, that's probably the way it is. Now, the Dodgers pitching is pretty doggone good as the starting pitching goes. Their bullpen, of course, a little suspect. Where did things get to? I believe that they got to the bullpen and things happened. So, fun atmosphere. Of course, Toronto hasn't won a title in 2 years?
33 years, yeah, a long time.
I thought it was great that they brought Cito Gaston out last night to throw out the first pitch, and kind of got the crowd going and everything else. So, go Blue Jays. Like I said, Louis Varland might as well win a World Series title. We don't need the Dodgers winning again, and they don't. What did they say? That this was the 13th road game that the Dodgers have played in a game 1 of a World Series. And of course, the Dodgers have played in a lot of World Series, but they're now 1-12 on the road in game 1. I'm like, I hope they're 1-12 in game 2.
They told me that, and I said, no, that can't be. But indeed, it is.
So,
and
it's great stats.
It's a great stat.
Like I said, you pick up on those things, and like I said, I got home last night from the hockey game and kind of sat down in the chair, and I figured the game was over. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to still be on, and then, like I said, I finished up watching it. And, but yeah, honestly, I before the series started, I would have said that it was going to go 7 games. I think that the 2 teams are that even. They can definitely hit the ball around. So this will be a fun World Series. They say viewership for the playoffs, for the postseason, has been off the charts.
Good.
So people are watching it despite everything else that's going on. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Maybe it's the teams that are playing.
Well,
the Seattle-Toronto series was outstanding.
And I think attendance and everything's been down a little bit this year. And I'm hearing people, this is the end of Major League Baseball. No, it's not. That was a very good game last night.
MLB will find some way to screw it up and tick fans off, like the Twins owners did. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that, and they'll call a strike or something, and that'll levy that up. But
you brought up the UMD men's hockey game, winning 3-0 at Minnesota. I got to be honest, shocking. Not that the Bulldogs won, but the fact that they shut Minnesota out. I had a chance to go watch the Bulldogs last Saturday. You mentioned the Shagabe plant line, very good. Their second line has got a freshman from Russia, a freshman from, why can't I not remember? Their second line is going to take a little time to develop, but they're fun to watch. They've got talent. I'm very hopeful that the Bulldogs can play well. Who knows? We'll see what happens tonight. The Gophers did get a little revenge on the women's side as they beat the Bulldogs 4-0 in Duluth. Bad news for the Bulldogs. Their number 1 goaltender got hurt. That she kind of skated off the ice pretty gingerly. We'll see what happens, but the Bulldogs kind of go as their goaltender goes, and if she's out for an extended period of time, that could definitely hurt.
Now you pay close attention to Bulldog hockey. This is a pretty good team. This is better than last year's team.
The men's team is definitely, definitely, and they were working towards this. with the Plant boys, bringing them in at the same time. I mean, they're not the same age, but they brought them in at the same time. They brought them in with Shagabe to put them together. I think they knew what they were doing. They took some lumps for a year or two. Right now they're playing fabulous hockey, and but you know that it's a long grind. I mean, the tournament doesn't start till almost April. I mean, it's still October, so there's a long way to go. Got to stay healthy and keep driving and doing the things that you do. But right now, 6-1, sitting pretty nice. And like I said, they play the Gophers tonight. Go to North Dakota next week. So we're going to find out what this team's going to look like after 10 games, and whether they're right now, as I mentioned, 6-1, whether they're 6-4 after next weekend, or whether they're 9-1. I still think they're a pretty good hockey team, and they're fun to watch. The Wild.
What's going on there?
Woof. I don't exactly know what's going on there. We seem to have all the pieces that we want to need. The injuries aren't huge. I mean, obviously there's some guys that are out and whatever else. Just can't seem to put the biscuit in the basket often enough. Playing close games, low-scoring games. Tough road trip, 5 games on the road. I believe they lost 4 of those 5. Return home to play the Mammoth, the Utah Mammoth tonight, and maybe some home cooking will do that. I think they play, if I heard right, the next 6 are at home. After a 5-game road trip, they get 6 at home here. So hopefully they'll find what the cure that ails them for what ails them and move on.
The Mammoth, I like that. That's a good name.
Yeah, they wanted to be the Yeti, and Yeti Cup Company said, "No, you jerks."
I can't believe that they would do that for ridiculous.
You would think that they would want
free advertising.
Free advertising.
Just like they get here at the Muni from us. Yeah.
You want to move on to a little basketball?
Sure.
Timberwolves beat Portland. That has kind of a shallow, hollow feeling after what happened with Chauncey Billups. They on X read more than one comment about the fact that Portland fans have felt for a couple of years that he has been pulling players at ends of games, that they look like they can win and they end up losing. Wow. I was stunned by that comment. That puts a pit in my side. It makes me feel icky on the inside. The Wolves played at LA, the Lakers last night. Doncic only had 32 at halftime.
Oh.
Ended up with 49, and the Wolves lost what did it end up? 128, 110 or something. Edwards had 41 the first game, 31 last night. But the Wolves giving up 128 points.
That's
tough.
The
Lakers are decent, but 128 points to the Lakers. It was 69-62 at half, and Doncic had 32 of the 69 for the Lakers. I'm just like, that's not Timberwolves basketball. First 2 games of the season, I'm not in panic mode. The one thing that happened in basketball, and I suspect maybe you saw this, but you heard about Mallory Heyer from the Gopher women's basketball team?
No.
She left the program.
No.
Yes.
That's not good.
So apparently the word out there is that they went to play Kansas State last week in an exhibition game. She wasn't in the starting lineup. And 2 days later, she entered the portal. Thank Minnesota for their time, and I'm moving on for my final year of basketball.
Well, it's like anything else. The portal and NIL money.
I don't know if this has anything to do with the NIL money. This has to do with, I've started every game since I was in the first grade, and now maybe somebody better has come along. And maybe I haven't worked as hard as I was supposed to, but I feel like because it's my senior year, I deserve this. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just speculating. Why else would somebody who doesn't get to start in an exhibition game all of a sudden enter the portal in her last year, when the buzz about this women's basketball team right now is as high as it's been in many, many years, and all of a sudden you're gonna head for the door? I'm taking my basketball and I'm going home type of attitude. Like I said, maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's other things going on. But if that's the attitude, I've lost a lot of respect for the lady.
Well, and just we watched a little volleyball in our house last night, and they beat Indiana in 4. And but the news is the entire starting lineup for the Gophers were freshmen.
Wow.
And so everybody with the injuries and everything, but they've got a nice young team, and they're coming along.
Here's the
and
scary
it's just
part. They're 16-4, and we're freaking out that they're not good enough.
Yeah,
you know
no.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they're number 15 or 16 in the nation. They're playing number
Yeah.
23, Indiana. I flipped it on just before I left for the hockey game for a few minutes. Yeah, it's a different looking team than it looked at. If you watched them in August, and now you're watching them now, this is a totally different team.
I think so, yeah.
And it might take some time to build that. I got to be patient and not be negative about that women's volleyball program.
Yep.
The Loons start the playoffs on Monday night. They'll be on FS1 if you're interested. Monday night. I mean the Commanders and the Chiefs are on. I'll probably watch the Loons as they take on Seattle in the best of 3.
The strongest thumb in the league right there.
There you go. Number 4, number 5 seed. The Loons got the number 4. They'll host the number 5 Seattle. They play Monday, Saturday. If it goes all three. So heck, that gets us well into November. But that's where we're going. So.
Where are we at with high school football this week?
Well, we know that the Broncos lost to CI after beating them last Wednesday. Lost to them 6-0 on Tuesday. So obviously their season is done. So CI goes to Aiken.
Yeah.
Boy, they don't like each other.
No, they don't.
And I told the coach after the game, I said, boy, your game on Saturday is going to be more than just a playoff game. Because they played the first game of the season. I think it was a 2-point or 1-point ball game. So very interesting to see. And just kind of to point out, when I talked to the CI coach after the game, he said, we needed this. And I said, why? He goes, we had a kid off of our team last year get killed in an ATV accident over the weekend. And he said, we had a coach commit suicide early in the season. He said, our program has really felt whatever, and this playoff win is going to help. So best of the CI Ranger football team. Those are 2 big losses that kids are going through. That doesn't make it any easier for Bronco fans that we lost 6-0, but that's the way it is. And then Moose Lake is hosting G&K. They beat Mesabi East the other day convincingly, 34-12. So G&K gets the tough task of taking on the 16 out of the last 18 or 17 out of the last 18 or whatever it is, section champ and Moose Lake. I don't expect that game to be too close, but I expect that Aiken will win over CI, so number 1 versus number 2, but that's why they play the game. Little Fork, they host Southridge. Little Fork went down to Southridge, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. Got a blocked punt or a bad snap punt and recovered it deep in Southridge territory to win 20-16. So that game is at 2 o'clock this afternoon at John Thompson Field. Would love to be there. I'm hoping to get there for a piece of it, a part of it, maybe the second half, as I've got a prior commitment. But that should be fun. And of course, there's all kinds of semifinal games. The 6A games played last night. I didn't even look at the scores. I'll be honest with you.
I haven't seen them yet.
The 6A is the big schools. So they had their first games of the 32. So there were 16 6A games last night. So it's just a great time of the year. Volleyball playoffs, of course, they're down to their final 4 in each section. The Broncos played at Two Harbors on Wednesday night. I was out there to watch it. Went 5 sets. Broncos looked great the first set. Second and third set, I think the coaches would agree with me. We didn't play our best. We didn't play well. We didn't look good. It was tough. Two Harbors won the next 2. The Broncos didn't die, and that's what I want to say about this team is they didn't give up. They could have packed up their things and said, well, it isn't meant to be. Won set 4 and got into set 5 and lost 15-13 or 15-12. It was right there. They were down 3 and just weren't able to get over the top. But a good season for the Broncos volleyball team. Cross country teams ran on Thursday at the section meet down in Coleraine. I would say, and from what I know and can tell, the girls and the boys all did about what they had been doing all season. It wasn't that somebody stood out and made a great this or a bad this or whatever. Just ran where they had been all year. So 3 of the fall sports seasons are done for the Broncos. We got swimming left. Their sections is in a couple of weeks. Girls hockey practice starts on Monday. They're 2.5 weeks away from their first game. November 13th is their first game against Hibbing up here. And so looking forward to that. My niece plays for Hibbing, so we'll get a chance to watch her
family
play.
thing, yeah.
And lots of stuff going on. Like I said, everybody says, well, geez, everything's winding down. And I'm going, no, as we're winding down, we're ramping right back up. We're hosting the IRC Boys Hockey Jamboree on November 15th. We're going to have 6 teams in town. They're going to be scrimmaging against each other and then playing in the Jamboree. It's basically an all-day event here in the Falls, and with 2 new teams in the IRC, in Mora and Moose Lake area. Moose Lake area. We may have to find a replacement for them because they might be playing football still at that point. Very likely that they could be playing football at that point. So we'll have to maybe make some decisions there. We've got a replacement set up, but like I said, we're basketball signups, hockey meetings are in place, swimming meetings for boys and boys swimming and diving are taking place. We're getting revved up for speech and one-act play and knowledge bowl and math team, and it's crazy.
And on top of that, it doesn't lighten up during the winter months either.
Like I said, we're just pretty soon. Like I said, November 13th is the first winter sport, and then it's gonna be crazy.
Yep.
It'll be fun. That's what we do.
Fun.
That's why we like it. What else you got? Anything?
I think that's about it for me. I mean, we've gone well over an hour
But
today.
it's almost 70 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Darcy won't edit us down. She'll try to maybe have to find a way on TV to get us in an hour, but on YouTube will be the full thing. If we're not around next Saturday, you're gonna know where we're at. Go Gophers! You know why all the trees in Minnesota lean to the south, right?
Yeah.
Because Iowa sucks.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, everybody.